We are back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about queen walking. I'm going to go through town halls 9 through 13, show you exactly what a first funnel is and a secondary funnel is, show you why things work, and maybe I'll even show you why some of them failed. So sit back, buckle up, stay tuned, and enjoy the show. Okay, so before we actually get into a replay or showing you what the first funnel is and what the secondary funnel is, there's a couple things you have to know about. There's never really a specific way of going in a base. It really all depends upon what troops you're using with your queen walk. Meaning, if you're doing queen walk, let's say queen walk hogs, queen walk piggies as I call it, then for that you want to make sure that you're taking care of the CC and you want to make sure you're taking care of the queen. If you're dealing with a queen walk dragons, let's say, then really you're not worried about the CC and you're worried about the queen. You're more worried about taking out ear defenses. So the troops that you're using with your queen are going to determine where your queen enters from. What I'm going to attempt to show you today is not so much where to go in, but when you decide where to go in, how to get into that situation, how to get your queen into that place. So that's the first thing. Second thing is there's two terms that people use. One term that they use is called queen walking, and another term that they use is queen charging. In my mind, pretty much every queen charge starts with a queen walk. When you charge, you're moving your queen from the outside of the base to the inside of the base. When you're walking, it means you're walking from, let's say, 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock, or 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, or 9 to 12. You're moving your queen around the base as opposed to charging. What I tend to do is almost every single one of my queen walks is always a queen walk that develops into a charge. Very, very few times I will be charging directly into a base. Now, let's get into what exactly I'm doing over here. Now, on this base over here, I'm going to look and try and get my queen into this compartment. Now, you know, that seems very easy, and most people might actually just start their queen over here and spam some wall breakers and hope that the queen goes in. But no, you can't do that. You know, you could do that, but the likelihood of success, you know, tends to drop tremendously. Now, if you make a funnel for your queen, if you have a first funnel and you make a secondary funnel for your queen, the likelihood of her going exactly where you want her to go is, you know, goes a lot higher. So what am I going to do over here? Let's press play and we'll start talking about what I'm doing. I always start, let's pause it for a second. I'm always starting off dropping my queen first. My queen's going to be down. Then I'm going to drop my funnel, and then I'm going to drop the Coco Loon and the healers. At Town Hall 9, with this attack, I don't carry loons for Coco Loons. But on the higher Town Halls, I'm always carrying a loon for my baby D, and I'm carrying a loon for my healers. Those are the Coco Loons that you should be using. So what am I doing over here? Well, I showed you where I want my queen to go in. So what I'm looking to do is, my queen's going to take this out, okay? This is going to be gone. My baby D is working on this over here. This is going to be gone. My baby D is then going to go from here to here, and then eventually either go to here or go here. My queen is going to go from here to here to here, and then start shooting into the base. Now, once she takes out this one and this one, depending on where she's standing, she might go over here. She might go that way. So you always have to make a secondary funnel. Used to be a guy in the clan. His name is Neil. Neil, if you're watching this, big shout out to Neil. Help me build one of the clans up. So, but Neil used to always, Avi, secondary funnel. And I'm telling you, it is very, very stressful for people who understand the need for a first funnel and a secondary funnel. When you're watching somebody attack who is not putting down that secondary funnel and watching the queen, you know, walk, it's crazy. So what am I going to use over here for my secondary funnel? I just showed you that this whole side, all these structures over there are going to get cleaned out. What am I going to use for my secondary funnel? Well, the secondary funnel, you're usually using your king, you're using some sort of tanking troop. A troop that you could put a couple of wizards behind it and let that troop, let that troop clear the outside structures, maybe shoot over the wall and clear some of the inside structures. So let's watch it over here and see what I do. Now, as you can see, the baby dragon is doing a fine job. You always look to see where can you put that baby dragon down so it gets the most use. It's able to take care of the most. So now I put down the peck on the outside with a couple of wizards, and now look what happens. Everything is cleared. There's nowhere for my queen to go except for in this base. And that's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on making an initial funnel and then the secondary funnel. And if you're not getting it down in time, your queen is going to walk. Don't scream, you silly, silly queen. Why are you doing that? If you don't put down your secondary funnel, she's going to walk. Let's move on to some Town Hall 10 action and show you how the same thing applies over there. Okay, so here we are on my Town Hall 10. Now, in this example, let's try to take things a little further in this example. First of all, like I said, by Town Hall 10, I'm starting to use a Coco Loon for my healers and for my Baby D. The other thing that you want to start looking at is, let's talk about where I would go in. Well, here's the CC over there. I'm looking to get into this compartment over here. This is the compartment I want to get into. If I get into that compartment, it enables me to clear some pathing, which is what I'm looking for at Town Hall 10. With my initial queen walk charge, whatever you want to call it, and I can get the CC. But what I want to point out in this is when you should be dropping your secondary funnel. So let's watch here. You're going to see something that we just talked about. Talked about dropping that Baby D in, dropping the Coco Loon, dropping the Baby D, dropping the Coco Loon, dropping the queen, dropping the healers, dropping it all. Now, let's pause it. Let's pause it over here for a second. Now, if I want to get into this compartment over here, this is the compartment I want to get into. You're going to say to me, Avi, you just told us, put down your secondary funnel. Why didn't you put down your secondary funnel? The reason I didn't put down my secondary funnel is because sometimes you'll want to leave some breadcrumbs. Now, what is a breadcrumb? Breadcrumb is something it's a word used in Clash for leaving something down to get your queen to go specifically in that direction. If I were to take this out over here, there would be no predicting which way my queen would go. She might go down to 6. She might go up to 12. I want her to walk up towards 12. That's where I want her to walk. So I specifically leave that over there until I can verify that my queen is going to go that way. I leave that there to lure her over. So again, I'm still letting all these troops, letting her do her thing. And as soon as I see that she starts taking a walk up in that direction, that's when you immediately drop your secondary funnel. So watch, she's going in that direction, boom, king goes down with the wizards. That's your secondary funnel. There's the wall break, and that's it. So let's move on to Town Hall 11. I'll show you the same thing happens at Town Hall 11. Let's go now. Okay, so here we are on I went 11v12 on this one. Okay, so here's on the my Town Hall 11, and here's an example of why it failed. Why my queen went the wrong way. In this attack, of course, I'm using hybrid, so I wanted to make sure that I take care of the eagle. So I wanted to get my queen into this compartment. That's the compartment I was going with. Now, I made a mistake. What was the mistake? I didn't really invest too much in my funnel at all. I wanted the queen to come back around and go. Well, let's play it up. Let's play it up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's play. So I start my queen up top, okay? And again, always start the same way: queen, Coco Loon, healers. Okay, but now what was I using for my funnel? I went very cheap with my funnel. I just tried to use a wizard. Why didn't I go a little more expensive? Well, because the AD was right there, and I really thought I can get it done. But why didn't it work? What is my queen going to do? If you notice over here, the queen can reach the cannon, and she's going to reach the cannon. She's going to take out the cannon. But then after that, and the wizard is going to take this out. The wizard is going to take that out. The wizard did his job. But what I didn't think about was I didn't think about over the wall. See, the queen could reach this. She could reach this thing. So even though she stepped up to get this, the next closest thing was this. And then she walked down. And once she walked down, I couldn't bring her back. So I had to, readjust, drop my king down for the secondary funnel. And that's another reason why you don't want to drop your king down immediately for your secondary. Unless you know that your first funnel, that your initial funnel is super duper strong, don't drop your secondary funnel unless you can tell that she's walking in that way. Otherwise, you need to hold on to it so you can possibly save her later on. So let's watch what happens. See, she's going over there. She takes care of that cannon. From the cannon, she takes care of the collector. Now she goes to this. But after this, where's she going to go after this? What's the next closest thing for her? Well, she can't reach this or this. So the next closest thing for her from here is going to be this. This is the next closest thing from where the queen's going to be standing. So now she walks around that way, which is not the way that I wanted her to go. So let's play it out, and you'll see. And there the queen goes the wrong way. So now once I see that the queen's going the wrong way, then I could drop my king down and get that secondary funnel. One thing we should have talked about on that one. I'll show it on the next one. How far away to put your secondary funnels. That's the next thing. You don't want to do them too close to each other, because if you do them too close to each other, then the queen is not going to, the queen may just avoid that altogether. Let's move over to Town Hall 12 now and take a look over there. Okay, so here we are on the Town Hall 12. Let's zoom in. We're coming in up top over here. So again, I want my queen. I want to charge my queen directly inside this base. So we talked before about a walk and a charge. This one I'm pretty much charging. My queen is not moving laterally almost at all. I think I started, actually I don't think she moved at all. I think I actually started her over here and I put my baby over here. So that's what I did. That's what I did to funnel, and I used my king over here with some wizards. I left the queen nowhere to go except for inside this base. Let's play it up, and we'll start talking about where. Now watch over here. You might say to me, Avi, well, how come you didn't drop it immediately on the building next to the queen? Reason being is because the queen's going to go from here. From here, she might go to this one, or she might go to that one. But you want to take out with your initial funnel and your secondary funnel. You don't want to take out the queen's next thing that she's going to hit. You want to take out the one that she would hit after the next one, the one that she would go to after she takes out the current one. So right now she's going at this. So her next one might be this, so that's why I started immediately on this. From there, once that's gone, she's going to go this way. So I don't start my king over here. I start my king back over here. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Let's get rid of the squigglies and watch it. See? Always go to where she's going to go next, not where she is right now. You don't need, your queen doesn't need help taking those things out. She needs help taking out the structure that she would have gotten if you wouldn't have taken it out. That's going to keep her moving straight. Let's move over to Town Hall 13 and show you over there what's going on. Okay, so here we are at Town Hall 13. Let me show you what I did over here. Now again, there's no exact way of making, first funnels, secondary funnels. You can use whatever you want. I happen to like using a baby dragon. That's what I used. In this circumstance, I didn't use a baby dragon. Some people use, I had a war last week. Regal switched the plan up on me last minute. He said, Avi, use a Valk for your funnel. I'm like, why? He says, it would work better. And he was right. It worked better. There's no specific troops that you should be using. You use what you want to use. And the only time that you want to be using certain troops is when you're taking a war attack and you're actually looking at the base and you're saying, what is better for me to funnel with? Sometimes if you have all archer towers in one corner and that's where you got to funnel, maybe the baby D is not going to be good enough. Maybe you need something a little stronger. Maybe you need the Valk. But let's talk about what we did over here. Let's zoom in over here. What I did was I started off this raid just by putting a little minion, a little baby minion over there on this collector. Now, why did I do that? I did that because I started my queen over here. My queen took out, this was the first one she took out. Then she went to this one. Then she went to this one. Then she went to this one. And then she came back and she went to this one. So I knew that if she would take out, if this was gone, okay, and these were gone, and this was gone, and this was gone, and this was the last remaining structure, that I knew that my queen would go from here directly into here, and then the last thing that was down was just this over here. And that I think I funneled with my king. So let's watch it play out and see how it goes. So again, we start with the minion. Watch what happens. Watch the pathing that develops just by taking out that one little storage. You don't always have to invest, 15 troop space. 15 troop space is a Coco Loon and a Baby D is 15 troop space. That's a lot of troop space to use. So she goes back, and right as she goes back, it's done. It's finished. So now she's sitting there and she's focusing on that. So I get my wall break. Just barely get the... I didn't even get it there. There we got the wall break. Just barely stayed alive. Avi was late with the poison, Avi. But now my queen is dealing with that stuff over there. I drop my king in with the wizards, let him go up to the other side, and that'll enable my queen. My queen's got nowhere to go except for inside this base. She's going to swoop around, gave her another rage. She comes inside. The wizards didn't take out exactly what I wanted them to take out, but once the queen takes out, tried to get my king in over there. Let's see how this raid go. I know how it goes. I know how it went. I got a little bit loopy on this one. My queen goes in, and she starts going around. Everybody goes inside to the core. We get some troops into the core. We freeze the scatter shot. In come those max piggies out of the siege barracks, and they're all moving through. And this is going to be a triple. I did get a little bit loopy. We'll play it out while we're sitting here and closing out this video. This is going to be the end of the video. This was my first video on queen walking. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave me any questions that you might have, because a lot of people have been asking me to do videos on queen walking, and it's easier for me to address the specifics of what you're looking for than it is for me to just assume that this is your biggest issue. So let me help you with this. So make sure you're hitting the like button, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, and leave me those comments down below letting me know what you would like for me to put in the next queen walk video, where you're finding your most difficult point in queen walking. And until the next video, have a great day.